Stop buying overpriced Safe Queens just because some forum expert told you that you need to spend $3,000 to hit a whitetail at 200 yards. Look, the truth is, the entire hunting industry just went through a massive reality check in the first quarter of this year, with the federal government completely wiping out that ridiculous $200 tax stamp for suppressors. Every single manufacturer had to scramble to redesign their flagship rifles to run quiet straight out of the box. Guys are finally waking up and trading in their heavy, unthreaded legacy guns for modern setups that actually make sense for hauling through the thick brush without breaking your back or blowing out your eardrums. We pulled the raw retail data and zeroed in on the absolute top 7 best-selling hunting rifles flying off the shelves right now. And I am telling you, the monster waiting at number 1 is going to completely shatter everything you thought you knew about budget performance. Starting us off at number 7 is the Christensen Arms Ridgeline FFT. Look, if you are the kind of guy hauling gear up a 30-degree incline in the backcountry, you know that every single ounce feels like a cinder block by day 3. This rifle was built specifically for that misery. It is an absolute featherweight, tipping the scales at just 5.3 pounds bare. But they did not just chop off material to get there. They re-engineered the whole foundation. The secret sauce here is their flash forge technology. Most carbon fiber stocks are laid up by hand, which leaves room for inconsistencies. But Christensen uses an aerospace process that flash forges the carbon fiber for the stock, the floor plate, and the bolt knob. Why does this matter? It completely eliminates thermal drift. Traditional carbon parts can warp slightly when the barrel gets hot, shifting your point of impact. This flash forge setup stays absolutely rigid, meaning your third shot lands exactly where your first shot did, even when the barrel is cooking. But let us be real. It is not all sunshine and perfect groups. We have to talk about the price. The damage to your wallet is sitting around $2,100. And that is before you even look at traditional glass or rings. If you are just hunting whitetail from a box blind, 200 yards from your truck, this is massive overkill. You are paying a heavy premium for aerospace tech that you frankly do not need unless you are scaling mountains. That price tag is a tough pill to swallow for the weekend warrior. Under the hood, it runs a 416R stainless match-grade barrel wrapped in aerogel carbon fiber. The trigger brake on the TriggerTech unit is crisp. It snaps like a glass rod under pressure. And since the federal tax stamp for suppressors got wiped out, that factory-threaded muzzle is begging for a lightweight titanium can. It tames the recoil of those heavy-hitting magnums down to a polite shove. If you have the cash and the altitude, it's a beast. Stepping up the game to number 6, we have the Henry SPD Predator. This is not your granddaddy's lever gun. Henry's Special Products division completely threw the rulebook out the window. For over a century, lever actions were tied to tubular magazines under the barrel. But the SPD Predator takes standard AR pattern box magazines. It feeds on 223 Remington and 5.56 NATO and weighs in at a highly mobile 6.2 pounds. Let us look under the hood at why this matters. Traditional tubular magazines force you to use flat-nosed bullets. If you do not, the recoil could cause a pointed tip to strike the primer of the round in front of it, setting off a disastrous chain reaction inside the tube. By swapping to a box magazine, this rifle can finally run Spitzer bullets. Those are the sharp, aerodynamic rounds with high ballistic coefficients. That means you get modern downrange performance out of a classic cowboy action. Look, I know the fanboys will hate this, but it is not flawless. The ergonomics have a glaring blind spot. It comes with a weather-resistant gray laminate stock featuring an adjustable comb for perfect eye alignment. Sounds great, right? The problem is, you need a Torx wrench to adjust it. If you are out in the brush freezing your hands off and need to make a quick tweak to your cheek weld, you're entirely out of luck unless you brought your toolkit. That is a frustrating oversight on a rifle that sets you back $2,510. Still, it is a serious piece of hardware designed for dropping coyotes fast. The 18-inch free-floating barrel is 416R, stainless steel, wrapped in carbon fiber to pull heat away quickly during high rates of fire. The factory trigger is set at 4 pounds and breaks cleanly, snapping like a frozen branch under your finger, while the recoil is nothing but a polite tap on your shoulder. And with that half-by-28 threaded muzzle, it is ready to run completely silent out of the box. Now we get serious. Taking the number 5 spot is a rimfire legend, the Ruger 1022. You might be wondering why a plinker made this list. Well, the market numbers do not lie. With the new suppressor laws, this platform has exploded in popularity. And honestly, this is solid. But wait until you see the monster at number 1. What makes this little rifle tick is its legendary 10-round rotary magazine. Instead of stacking rounds vertically where spring pressure can cause nosedives or binding, this system uses a rotor that separates each cartridge. As you fire, a torsion spring rotates the next round perfectly in line with the chamber. It eats 22 LR for breakfast without a single hiccup, ensuring unparalleled reliability for taking out small game and pests around the property. But we need to address the elephant in the room, the factory build quality on the base models. Out of the box, the standard finish on the barrel is notoriously thin and prone to surface rust if you just look at it wrong. If you are hauling this through wet brush or tossing it behind the seat of your truck, you have to keep it oiled constantly, or it will start turning brown. The aftermarket support is massive, but you should not have to replace factory parts just to keep the elements at bay. When you run this suppressed, it is basically a ghost gun. The recoil is non-existent, just a soft flutter against your shoulder, and the factory trigger breaks with a distinct metallic click. Landowners and hunters are snatching up the threaded barrel models in record numbers because it lets you neutralize pests silently without spooking bigger game or annoying the neighbors. The entry cost is incredibly low, making it an absolute must-have tool for your safe. Moving into the heavy hitters, number 4 is the undisputed king of the budget woods, the Savage Axis II. This bolt-action rig dominates the entry-level market, and for good reason. It tips the scales right around 6.5 pounds depending on your caliber, and slings rounds down range with shocking consistency for the price. Sound off below if you've ever put meat in the freezer with one of these. The secret to its ridiculous out-of-the-box accuracy is the thread and barrel nut head spacing system. Instead of spending hours machining a perfectly mated barrel and receiver like the high-end custom shops, Savage uses a locking nut. This allows them to set the headspace gap perfectly tight by threading the barrel in until it hits a factory gauge, and then firmly locking it down. It gives you custom-level precision without the custom price tag. But let us not pretend it is a perfect system. The major annoyance here is the base model barrel configuration. While the rest of the industry is rushing towards suppressor-ready setups, the standard Axis II still ships with a 22-inch sporter contour barrel that has absolutely no muzzle threads. If you want to run a can, you're forced to either pay a gunsmith to thread it, which ruins the budget appeal, or step up to a much more expensive variant just to get the job done. Despite that, the value is undeniable. You can usually walk out of the store for under $400, often with a factory-mounted scope already attached. The trigger is fantastic. It breaks like snapping a dry carrot right in half, completely eliminating the mushy creep you expect on cheap rifles. The recoil from a standard caliber is just a sturdy push that gets you back on target fast. It is a workhorse, plain and simple. Entering the elite tier at number 3, we have the Marlin 1895 SBL. This is the absolute king of the modern tactical cowboy movement. Ever since Ruger took over the Marlin brand, the quality control has been off the charts. It slings massive 45-70 government rounds downrange, making it the ultimate insurance policy for thick brush and dangerous game. The engineering breakthrough here is the modern CNC machining of the stainless steel receiver. Older lever guns were built with weaker metallurgy that could not handle extreme pressures, but this new receiver is overbuilt with modern metallurgical standards. This allows the action to safely lock up and fire modern, high-pressure hunting loads that would completely destroy a vintage lever-action rifle. You get classic styling, but it runs like an absolute tank. But here's the truth. Feeding this beast is going to drain your bank account fast. The major flaw here is the strict financial penalty of the caliber. Factory 45-70 ammunition is incredibly expensive, and the really premium, high-pressure bare defense loads will cost you several dollars every single time you pull the trigger. If you do not reload your own brass, practicing with this rig on a regular basis becomes a massive financial burden. Aesthetically, the polished stainless steel against that gray laminate stock is just gorgeous. It features an extended Picatinny rail up top, making it incredibly easy to mount a modern scout scope or red dot. The trigger brake is heavy but deliberate, like snapping a thick piece of chalk in half. And the recoil, well, let us just say it hits your shoulder like a swinging sledgehammer when you touch off those heavy hunting loads. If you hunt in straight wall cartridge states or need to stop a charging bear, this is your huckleberry. Getting closer to the crown with number 2, the Tikka T3x Ace Game, built by Sako over in Finland. This action is legendary for being smoother than greased glass. It bridges the gap between an aggressive hunting rig and a precision rifle series setup, with a street price sitting between $1,699 and $1,849. This is a serious investment for a guy who demands absolute perfection. Let us talk about the skeletonized aluminum chassis. Instead of a traditional plastic stock, this rig features an integrated Arca Swiss rail running the entire length of the forend. Why does that matter? It allows you to lock the rifle directly into a heavy-duty tripod without messing around with bolt-on adapters. It puts the center of gravity perfectly over the apex of the tripod, turning your setup into a rock-solid firing position for those long-range engagements across open valleys. But here is the deal breaker, and it comes down to sheer mass, tipping the scales at an incredibly heavy 9 pounds and 5 ounces before you even add optics or a loaded magazine. This rifle is an absolute nightmare for backcountry spot and stalk hunting. If you are hiking miles through dense timber or climbing steep elevation, that dead weight is going to completely ruin your shoulders. It is strictly built for a blind or a stationary tripod, not for carrying all day long. It eats anything from .223 Remington all the way up to .300 Winchester Magnum. But the 6.5 Creedmoor version is a known tack driver. The 24.3-inch fluted barrel comes threaded from the factory and coated in midnight bronze Cerakote. The trigger breaks incredibly crisp, like stepping on thin winter ice. And the recoil is nothing more than a steady, rhythmic thump against your shoulder. It is an absolute laser beam if you do not mind hauling the weight. Taking the undisputed crown at number 1 is the Ruger American Rifle Generation 2. This absolute workhorse completely breaks the matrix for what a budget hunting rig should be. It gives you the rugged, mass-market reliability of the Savage Axis at number 4, but packs in the premium features you would expect from the Christensen at number 7, without requiring you to take out a second mortgage. It weighs in around 6.5 pounds and dominates the entire bolt-action market. The mechanical heart of this beast is the full-diameter 3-lug bolt with a push-feed system. What this does is provide a short, incredibly fast 70-degree bolt throw. Why does that matter out in the woods? It means when you rack the bolt back to chamber a follow-up shot, the handle stays low and completely clears the massive ocular bell of modern, low-mounted scopes. It totally eliminates that annoying knuckle-busting slop found in traditional 2-lug designs. Ruger actually listened to what guys wanted and completely overhauled the ergonomics and the finish. Every single generation, 2 ships from the factory, fully covered in a premium Cerakote finish, and features a spiral fluted barrel that cuts weight while cooling down fast. They even threw in a 3-position tang safety, which lets you cycle the bolt to unload the weapon while the safety is still fully engaged. That is a critical feature when you are pushing through thick brush and need to make sure the gun is safe but still maneuverable. The damage to your wallet is just flat out absurd, sitting right around $600 out the door. It feeds flawlessly from AI-style detachable box magazines, meaning you have massive aftermarket support right out of the gate. When you pull the trigger, it breaks cleanly like a snapping wishbone. The recoil from that factory-installed radial muzzle brake makes the kick feel like a soft, roll-in wave instead of a sharp punch. Out of the box, it has a 5/8 by 24 threaded muzzle ready for your suppressor, making it the absolute reigning king of the hunting world. Look, the hunting industry is changing faster than ever. The days of accepting a mediocre rifle just because it is cheap are completely over. With the federal tax stamps wiped out for suppressors and budget guns packing features that used to cost thousands, there is absolutely no excuse for taking a bad shot out in the woods. You have the data, and you know exactly which platforms are actually worth your hard-earned cash. Now it is entirely on you to get your gear sorted and put in the reps before the season opens. If you want the raw truth without the fluff, lock it in right here.